Hello, this is Wmpyr. I just watched an interview with one of my martial arts instructors. So, it just made me want to talk about a few things. Um, yeah, so first of all, let me see. Okay, I am not a master. I don't consider myself a master. And the word master or grandmaster or whatever, those kinds of titles and belts and ranks, I'm not big into that. For me, the main purpose of why that exists is so that you can quickly see if someone is qualified or not. You know, uh, yeah, that's what a certification is there for, right? When you go into the doctor's office, they have it behind their desk on the wall, and you go, oh yeah, okay, there's a certification. They must be legit. That's really all it's there for, in my opinion. Unless someone is going to do intensive uh, investigation and make sure that is real. But for the average person, they're just going to see that and they go, "Oh, okay, there's a certificate." They're not going to know if it's real. They're not going to know, the difference between 10th degree black belt and ninth degree black belt and eighth degree black. Does it really matter? No, it really shouldn't. So uh, just to make sure, because if we don't have certifications, then any Joe Schmo can call themselves a master, an expert, and start teaching, and we don't want that, right? We do want to make sure that the people that are teaching are really qualified to teach. Um, in the case of, I think it was Netflix a while back, maybe almost a year ago. I remember I was gonna work out, uh, and we were looking up these exercise videos. Follow along like yoga, Pilates, or whatever. And one of them said Muay Thai kickboxing, right? Exercise, fitness, Muay Thai kickboxing. And the guy that came on and decided to teach on there, the instructor, I could tell flat out that this guy had no significant Muay Thai kickboxing training. He was not qualified to do this at all. So that's why certifications should exist. Not for you got to call me master and you picked my school because I'm higher ranked than this other place. No, that's silly. Okay, in my opinion. So anyway, or the other probably huge misconception a lot of people is, well, a 6th degree black belt is going to beat a 4th degree black belt. This kind of thinking, which is absolutely ridiculous too. It's I like to tend to go by the Karate Kid, where Mr. Miyagi says, my belt is to hold up my pants. Did he say J.C. Penney or something like that? Yeah. So, anyways, so yeah, I'm not into any of that. All right. So I know people try to be respectful and they call me master or they call me expert or whatever. No, I'm none of those things. Okay. I'm just a guide. I'm just someone who's been doing it for, yeah, okay, an extensive amount of time. Compared to someone, it might be not as much as they have done, and compared to others, it might be more than they have done. It's just it is what it is. I started in 1990 and I've been doing it ever since. And so what? That doesn't make me, well, I know more than you. You got to listen to me. No, I'm not, here to, like I said, pull my position and act more important than somebody else. Um, that's not what any of that should be about. Um, so let's see. Uh, my I'm a guide, right? And I put myself on YouTube and people can watch my videos and learn from them if they want to, right? So it's a service that I'm doing. I'm not asking for anything, I'm not asking for you to pay me or nothing like that. Okay. I'm putting it up there, you know, and I made my own style. And okay, so it started off as the K4S system. I made my own style, and then that was around 2006. I changed the name to the Wmpyr method in order to honor my YouTube channel, which is Wmpyr, the Wmpyr YouTube channel, because it's been going on since 2006. It's been going on for a long time, thanks to y'all. So to honor that, I just called it the Wmpyr method, right? But then this year, 2024, I decided to change the name to B1 Escrima. Why? Because B1 is under, to me, that's on the elevator, it's underground. And then Escrima, because Escrima is such a big part of my style. Yes, I mixed it with a whole bunch of other stuff that I've experienced, but Escrima is a big part. So I'm calling it B1 Escrima. Okay. So I got my own style. All right, big deal. Okay. And I've been presenting it to you guys since the 2006, around that time. Yeah, and the reason why I was presenting it to you guys was because right around early, I don't know the time frame exactly, but I was in Dallas. I was in a crummy, Section 8 uh, apartment building. My downstairs neighbor gets robbed. She gets broken into, and I call the cops and everything. But I remember, luckily she wasn't there. But if she was there, I was thinking, well, I can't. What am I going to do? Just let her, get attacked, and she's screaming, and I do nothing. No, I have to go down there and help her out. But if I do, what am I going to do? What if there's multiple opponents? What if they got weapons? What am I, and that's when I was like, okay, I need to go beyond just fighting. I need to go beyond, cage fighting or sport fighting or even street fighting. I need to go beyond fighting, right? And that's when I realized that. And then I needed, I needed a self-defense system. So then I decided to completely focus on that, and I revisited my Filipino martial arts training combined with the knowledge that I had accumulated with other styles at that point. So now I have a different perspective. Back when I was learning Filipino martial arts, that's when I was starting martial arts. But now I had a lot more experience with the combat sports. I know what it's like to do full contact. I know what it's like to go up against someone that's trying to beat me, and I know the importance of cardio. I know what it's like to get completely exhausted in a match. And then you start to, your mind just gives up. I know and experience those things. And the anxiety of fighting before it happens. Like you're gonna have to fight this guy. So before that, you're gonna get real nervous. All that stuff, right? And so now I have those experiences, and then I went back to my Filipino martial arts, and I basically retaught myself from the beginning, everything that I remembered, except this time with an emphasis on street, on self-defense, on the situation that I told you about in the apartment complex where she got robbed. I thought about all those things. So now I was doing blade work. Before, yes, I learned about the blade in Filipino martial arts, but we didn't really extensively do it. And if any blade work was done with a training knife. So this time, finally, I was working with the actual blade, live blade, machete, tomahawk, all that stuff. I was actually tearing up furniture. I was doing all that, and seeing what exactly happens when you do Heaven 6 full force with a knife in the reverse grip on a couch. What happens to the flesh, the fabric, essentially. What does it get stuck? Is if I stab deep enough, is the spring going to catch the blade? What happens? I needed to know. Is there a difference when I change the different types of couches, the chairs that I'm busting up, so in other words, what different clothing, is that going to change things drastically? How much so? What if I use a pen instead of a knife? What if I use a screwdriver? How much different, and I did that kind of training, much more street realistic. And then luckily, I also opened my own school, my own dojo, and now I had students coming in, and they were nice enough to let me do these crazy experiments. Okay, we're going to do some grappling, and I'm going to throw the knife in there, a training knife, of course, but let's see what happens. Okay, one of you going to hide the training knife in your pants, and or hide it somewhere. Don't let the other guy see. And then at any given point, you could take it out and use it. But you're going to be grappling, So we did that kind of training too. I to this day I experiment with my students because I believe in that um, laboratory type of environment rather than I am the master. I know everything. You listen to me. That is not, um, to me, a good learning environment. So my goal, yes, I have to teach people, but once they get up to speed to a certain skill level, then it's like, okay, let's start experimenting. Let's start trying things out. And things that maybe I have experienced before, I won't tell them what's going to happen, and I want them to experience it and see, was their experience different from mine? How did they feel? This kind of thing. And then I'll talk to them afterwards. How was it? What did that feel like? And I remember this. How was it for you? This kind of thing. So I believe in that kind of training. Um, at the end of the day, this to me is trying to use the scientific method as much as possible, which is you got to do experiments, right? You got to do testing. And as much as we want the test to look like what we thought it was going to be, like you want it to match the hypothesis, that's not how science works. You test out your hypothesis, and then according to the results, you modify your hypothesis and you experiment again. And then if need be, you do that 100 times. You do that 1,000 times. And then soon enough, you start getting a consistent hypothesis, and therefore, finally, it earns the place where you could call it a theory. It's no longer a hypothesis, it becomes a theory. That is the scientific method. So these experiments should be able to be replicated. So from there, I have some findings that have directly influenced my style. And then the rest was just putting it together in a simple, it needs to be simple. Why? Because if you're going to use this in real life and it's like 25 steps, that's not simple. It needs to be very, very, very simple, right? Like, for example, to me, the reason why Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was so effective was that they based it off of positions. How many positions were there, especially in the beginning? How many were there? It's not like today where there's a billion positions. Back then, I mean, you had, like open guard, guard, half guard, and the opposite of that is half mount, side mount, mount, and back mount, right? Those were the seven positions. And yeah, there's 7 positions, but you're not necessarily going to go through all of them. So that simplified things a lot, And then within those 7 positions, you're still kind of doing similar moves in there, Whether it's a triangle or whether it's an arm bar, or whether it's a figure 4 arm lock. But anyway, so I wanted to make the system as simple as possible, and that idea was it needs to be simple because it needs to be quickly accessible, and that means mentally quickly accessible. If it's complex, your mind's not going to be able to access it. And we know, anyone who's done tactical training is that you want to be able to access your weapons quickly and easily. It needs to be easy access. So mentally goes the same way. That's why it needs to be organized in a very simple manner. And so I believe, I created my style, this new style. It's not that I came up with new moves, because I feel like everything has already been invented. We've been here long enough on the planet Earth. So, and I'm not that creative, or I'm not a genius, a martial arts genius, or a kung fu genius. I'm none of those things. So everything that I could think of has already been thought of. The main advantage is that the way that I organize this stuff, the way that I put it together, that is what made my style. That the way I put it together. And so hopefully it's in a very, very easy manner, and I'm still working on it, trying to clarify it and just organize it. And that really comes from the military combatives. Captain Fairbairn's gutter fighting is a huge influence of that. To make it simple, to make it simple means easy access under pressure, and that is an effective system, and that is what I aim for. Okay. And like I said, through the experiments, there are things that, to me, it's almost like laws, because they were consistent. And if you don't address these laws, then I know you haven't done those experiments. Or somewhere along the lines, you let your ego win, and you change the hypothesis, or you change the results of the experiments to meet your hypothesis. You made it fit your ideals. You made the results, you tampered with the results. You know what I mean? Because you wanted it to work this way, or your expectations, or your students didn't want to let you down, so they all conformed to you. They didn't completely how do you call it, not retaliate, but resist. They didn't completely resist fully, things of that nature. And if they don't, which, I get that too. Many of my students did that. You have to, in your brain, go, well, what if they did? Then it wouldn't have been this easy, or it wouldn't have gone this way. You have to think that way. And if you don't, you're not going to get accurate results. So one of the things that I consistently have brought up with the knife defense is that you're not going to catch an arm. You will not catch an arm. If the guy is attacking you, then we have to use distance and get out of there. And a shield, right? So that's what I teach. It's to me really, really simple. Try it. That's all I say. But be honest about it. Honestly try it. Have somebody have a knife and have them attack you. And if you don't have distance, and if you don't have a shield, oh boy, you got to be real. You're getting cut up bad. Okay, so having a shield, and this like I said, could be a belt bag, which is, I'm finding that it's a little small. I have a pretty big belt bag, and I'm still finding it to be very small. That I wish it was bigger. So, and that's something that you got to experiment with. And also everybody's different, your accuracy level and all that. But a makeshift shield, okay, some kind of shield. I don't care if it's your jacket. I don't care if it's your lunchbox, but size is important. You have to know what size works for you. At the smaller it is, the better, of course. The better, as in that means your skill is that high, right? So the larger the shield, the easier it is to defend, obviously. But that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for is how small can you go and still be able to defend against a knife attack. That is the answer we're looking for, and you're only going to find that through training, okay? By experimenting. That's the only way. Now the other thing, like I said, is distance. The closer you get to the opponent, the less reaction time you have. Therefore, people talk about, oh, okay, let's say we're in a confined space. The guy pulls out a knife. Then you're dead. You're dead. Period. You shouldn't have been with him in a confined space. You could try whatever you like, but why don't we try our experiments or this kind of hypothetical thinking from places where we know we can start working realistically? Why start at the most difficult? Why start in something that's next to impossible? You know what I mean? It would be like saying, what if I fought Brock Lesnar in the UFC? Why do we have to start there? Why don't I start at an amateur bracket? You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. Okay, so distance is huge. The next thing, like I said, is you have to do that because you cannot catch an arm. If the arm is already attacking you, if they're already attacking you, you're not going to catch it. And the only way to disarm a knife or to neutralize a knife is you have to catch it. But like I said, if they're already stabbing and cutting and slashing at you, you cannot catch it safely. You can't. So that's why I said that's when you go to the force-to-force block. The diamond defense is where you use the makeshift shield. Okay. So then the other situation is when they're like, the knife is not in motion. Maybe they haven't taken it out yet, but they told you they have it. They said they're going to use it. They're threatening you. Or maybe they did pull it out, but they're not attacking you with it. They're just holding it up. They're flashing you with it. They're showing it to you. Or maybe it's against your neck. They put it up against you, but it's not moving. So if it's not moving, then we can catch the arm. So that to me is a big two different situation. One is the arm is moving. Number two is when the arm is not moving. So when the arm is moving, like I said, we have a system there, and that comes with I made a drill, a partner drills, where you could get tons and tons of practice working on that, doing the force-to-force block safely without just doing full contact, without just getting busted up, safely getting a lot of safe repetitions and experience and making your skill better. That is the partner drill. So then when the arm is not moving, then we have steps. Okay? And that's where we're going to go into the clinch. All right. So two different situations, and I hope that's very clear. Now, look, I don't want to say to anyone, I came up with this. I have the answer and everybody else is wrong. And no, that is super arrogant. What I am saying is I came up with a system, and no, I didn't steal it from anywhere. This is my own findings. And I believe that there's many ways to climb the mountain. Okay, so I believe there's many answers to solve this problem, but I have one. I have one that has worked for me. I have one that makes sense to me. I have one that I'm still working on, to refine it, to make it better. But I have one that has been very satisfying for me all these years. So I've been sharing it to you guys on YouTube for those that want to try it. And that is what it's about. I want you guys to try it, experiment, and test it out for your own. Because that is how science works in all over the world. Different universities, the students will test it out and try to replicate the results. That's what they do in a laboratory. That's what scientists do. And so I want you to test out my findings for not to see if I'm right or wrong, no, to see if it works for you or not, and see if you get similar results, or you might get different results, you know. But that's why I'm putting it out there for you guys. Not to say I'm right, buy my stuff, um, now become my affiliate, join my membership, come learn from me for, this amount of money. You could get a black belt from me. No, none of that. I don't believe in any of that. Okay, so this is about experiments. This is about information, and information to me is very, very valuable. And I'm sharing this information with you guys so that you could make it your own. You can find your own style, or find what works for you, okay, in your martial arts journey. So like I said, I am just a guide. I am not some maestro, master, or any of those things, okay. um, I am just a guide. You want to call me teacher, that's fine. You want to call me sensei, sensei is teacher in Japanese, so that's fine too. Coach, those things are, I got no problem with. Instructor, that's fine. But really, I am just a guide. And you don't have to agree with everything I say. You don't have to agree with anything I say. But if you do find some stuff that makes sense to you or that you like, please take it, and make it your own. All right. So that's it for now. Thank you for viewing, and take care, folks.